That's right, we're not done with the spooky content just yet. Hello everyone, this video was rather quickly put together. I'm amazed with how well received my latest video has been so soon. If you haven't seen it, please go and watch it before this one, because there will be spoilers. I made an audio drama style adaptation for Ghost Train, which I think explains itself. Thank you to everyone for your kind words and feedback on that project. I had so much fun making it, and we'll be releasing an original audio story for Christmas as well. More on that to come at a later date. So, what's today's video? Well, I thought I'd explain some of the creative liberties that I took with Ghost Train and reveal a bunch of Easter eggs that I snuck into the script. So, without further ado, let's explain Ghost Train. The first thing I want to bring up is the tone of Ghost Train. Even though it's the first story in the franchise to cover supernatural topics, Audrey wrote this as a comedic story, with horror just being a subgenre. In fact, any potential there was of there being a supernatural threat was liquidated within the second page of the story, I do believe. The TV adaptation made up for this by keeping the spooky atmosphere throughout the episode. But for my one, I wanted to go for a Duncan Gets Spooked type of horror, where the supernatural elements could well exist. For example, in the epilogue, the final line of dialogue is put in place so that there's no clarity as to whether or not the ghost is real, but it's clear that the characters do believe there is a ghost. So from here, let's look at things chronologically. Those who attended the Audrey Extravaganza 2 will know that Tim Dunn revealed in his lecture that Audrey made notes of the Wellsworth and Sudbury Railway having 2 Manning-Wardle tank engines. Of course, the moment this was revealed, fans have started planting Billy and Charlie into their AUs as these 2 tank engines. Technically, Billy and Charlie are a slightly more modern class of Manning-Wardle than what would have been in service on the W&S. So Billy's design was altered accordingly in the illustration. Why specifically Billy? Well, compared to Charlie, he never really did much. If you've been following my Twitter for a while, you may remember a tweet where I suggested Billy having the voice of Ted Glenn. Some of Billy's class were built in Lancaster area, an area of England where Postman Pat is set. That's my justification for giving Billy the Ted Glenn voice. In fact, just before Billy's accident, you can faintly hear him shout, "You can't crush me like this," which is a reference to the Postman Pat and the Suit of Armour episode, where Ted Glenn cries, "You can't leave me like this." Before the North Western Railway was a thing, the Wellsworth and Sudbury was one of the 3 smaller railways. W&S had an extension to Brendam during its run, and was later to merge with the Tidmouth, Knapford and Elsbridge Light Railway. This meant building Cronk Station and the tracks that connect it all together. At the time of Billy's accident, the viaduct is under construction. Billy was meant to terminate his service at Wellsworth, but carried on down the line towards the viaduct, as per the TV series placement of this bridge. The accident itself is based on the Timothy Creepypasta. The character shouting, "Stop! You can't go down there!" is Percy's driver's dad, who is mentioned in the epilogue. Billy has Edward's whistle, as did the Ghost Train from the Season 2 episode. The illustration of Percy is a recreation of the one from the Railway series book Tramway Engines, specifically the illustration of Percy returning from the harbour. The design of Percy is based on GWR 1338. Percy hearing about ghost trains from the mainland is a nod to the practice of ghost trains, which is where the term comes from. Trains that are ran simply to keep branch lines in service, despite not having any passengers to pick up. Percy most likely heard about this from his tank engine friends, who he occasionally talks to from the mainland, as seen in Percy Takes the Plunge. Toby's voice is an attempt on my part to impersonate the Willie Rushton voice, which I feel is best suited to Toby. Thomas confirms he was on the railway while it was being built. While this is correct, he was not present on the island at the time of Billy's accident. It's likely that he'd have heard about this from the remaining W&S engines. Percy protesting with the line, "It was true. If driver says it happened, then it..." is a reference to Gordon and the Gremlin, where Thomas says, if Firelighter says there are gremlins, there are. Walter the Horse is named after Walter Farley, author of The Black Stallion, a series of books about a horse. Percy hums his own theme as he's approaching Crow's Farm Crossing. Percy's fireman is named after Huxley Pig. If Percy can be a pig, then why not his engine crew too? The line, "Huxley! Huxley, are you alright?" is directly taken from Huxley Pig Goes Flying. Holy Stoke is a locomotive variation of the phrase "Holy Smokes." Toby and Percy's moment at the signal box, where Toby initially criticises Percy's idea, is inspired by an Only Fools and Horses sketch from the episode If They Could See Us Now, where Mickey Pierce prank calls the Trotter brothers. Boise initially lectures Mickey, but then offers him a phone to make the prank call with. When Toby sets off for Farquhar, I was going to have Toby's sneaking theme playing. However, no clean version of this theme existed that I felt would fit the tone. An extended recreation of the theme was released by SA Music, only days after the premiere of my adaptation, so that's pretty ironic. Toby's driver's voice was based on Zach from Tugs. His line of dialogue is a reference to High Tide, where he shrieks, "Reverse engines, quick." "Protect the coaches and the brake vans first!" is a locomotive variation of the phrase "protect the women and the children first," though this is not a statement on the gender roles of any rolling stock. The inclusion of Daisy in the script is due to her being present in the illustration at the end of Ghost Train. While she had no speaking role in either version of the story, I can't imagine Daisy wouldn't have something to say on the matter. In the epilogue, Percy's driver mentions the programme he was watching showing a model recreation of Billy's accident, complete with a hand helping the train. This is a nod to the 1953 adaptation for The Sad Story of Henry, where a hand famously rescued a derailed Henry. Lastly, here's a theory that isn't canon to this adaptation, but is actually my take on the original story. I think what Percy's driver was watching was the horror film titled Ghost Train, a production from the 1950s that's set on the Great Western Railway. Its haunting tale follows a very similar pattern to that of Percy's. So that's everything that I think was worthy of a mention. Well done if you were able to spot any of these before I exposed everything. I hope if you ever decide to watch Ghost Train again, that you'll now be able to appreciate these nuggets of trivia. Is there any of these in particular that has blown your mind? Be sure to let me know what you found most interesting, or if you actually learnt anything new through this video. I'll be starting production on the audio story that's due to be released for Christmas around this time, in the hopes of improving from this one. Ghost Train was actually my first time working with audio in such a creative way, so I understand that there may be some things that should be improved, which will hopefully be rectified for this next story. While I intend to voice all of the characters for the upcoming story, I would be interested in doing more audio productions going forward with a wider cast, so let me know what you think of that idea. I'm likely to only have 1 or 2 more videos come out this year, and then hopefully the Blubber videos that I've talked about previously will be released early next year. They are still in production. My university course has been eating away at my time. But enjoy the rest of whatever time of day you're watching this, and I will see you again next time. Doop it doop 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 doop. Meh.